Okay, so we're going to try and do a replacement of the microswitch which is on the VW Golf. Um, just a bit of a background. Basically, what happens with these vehicles is you get an error on the screen, which is just being shown now. And on first viewing of that warning, it does look a little bit worrying because it's talking about taking it to the workshop. Um, Now, there are a number of reasons why that might come on, but the most common of all is a failure of the micro switch, which recognizes the stick shift being in the park position. Now, the reason I say that's the most common is it's recognized by VW, Volkswagen, Skoda, it's got the same gearbox. It's recognized by them as being the most common thing because they've actually designed and created a workaround. So rather than trying to get into the whole workings of the gearbox and trying to find the micro switch and replacing that, which as you can imagine would be an absolute nightmare, they've actually created a bypass switch, which is what we're going to fit today. So you can see that this is a genuine Volkswagen workaround or bypass switch, and you can buy these from Volkswagen. You can get copy parts out there, but to be honest, the price difference between them and the genuine parts isn't really worth going that way. For what you're going to be doing and for what you're going to be working on, go for a genuine part, I would say, rather than getting a copy one. So we'll just take a quick stop here and talk about what it is that you're actually trying to fix. So the micro switch, what happens is it tends to get a buildup of either silicon or some other kind of deposit on the switch. And that switch then makes it, or that deposit, should I say, makes it sticky, stops the switch from working properly. Now, there is a temporary fix that you'll quite often see, and that's where they'll talk about working the gear stick backwards and forwards really quickly, maybe 20 or 30 times, basically slamming the gear shift against that micro switch, and all you're doing is you're just working that micro switch time and time again to try and work off some of that deposit. And it does work. It will work for a period of time, but you're not going to remove all the deposit. You might get a few months worth of safe traveling or easy traveling out of it, but lo and behold, it will start again and you will have to do this fix. So frankly, bite the bullet and go for it. So this is it. This is the micro switch that you're going to be fitting. As you can see, a few component parts to it. You've got the main switch, which is that part there. Then you've got a little control box of some sort. But the two main parts that you need are going to be these. These are the connection blocks that are going to put this device in the place of the existing micro switch. Really quite a simple thing, simple design, but you are going to need to do a little bit of removal of the paneling in order to get this this thing in place. So let's just put that to one side. Now, to get it in place, we have to remove this panel here. And when we remove that panel, we'll access the top of the gearbox. You'll note when we do take this off that there are two options for the switch. There is a white one and a black one, and you'll know which one you need because it will be the colour corresponding to the top of the gearbox you've got. This one, as you saw from the bypass switch we've got, is the black version. There are other videos on YouTube if you have one of the white ones. Personally, I think you've lucked out if you've got the white one because the black one definitely seems to be an easier fix. So the first thing we need to do is give ourselves a little bit of space because we're going to have to take this panel off, and to do that we need to just move the gear stick out of the way. So turn ignition on, don't start the car, press the brake and just move the gears lever out of the way down into the drive position. Then turn ignition off. The key won't come out of your ignition now, so be aware that that is going to be stuck in there for the duration of this repair. So with the lever moved, we're now going to remove the panel. So this is the panel here. We don't need any tools. We just need to be gentle and firm, and we just need to get hold of this edge here, and we just need to pull the panel away from the vehicle. It's just a few plastic clips. As I say, just be careful, because that silver bezel that you can see around the outside does come away separately to the main body if you're not careful. And if you do separate that, it's not a problem, but it is a very thin piece of plastic. As you might be able to see from where I was pointing at there, that one's actually got a small crack in it, so clearly it's been removed once before, and if you just lever on it, then you will break that bezel. So what you need to do is get your fingers underneath that edge, and you need to pull the silver bezel and the plastic, which you should be able to feel with your fingers, both sections off at the same time. So a gentle but firm pull and the panel comes away. So just lift that up and just use the boot of the gear lever just to hold the whole thing out of the way. Do be aware that there is a cable connecting to that panel. That's to operate the lights, which indicate the position of your gear lever. And we're going to need to remove that, because we don't like to have any kind of pressure on it. You can see there, that's the location where the switch is going to go, and in the bottom there you can actually see the blue connector that you're going to be disconnecting in order to add this new bypass switch. That's going to come out, go into the new bypass switch, and the new connector is going to go into that bit. So as I said, you can see here that we do have this cable connected to it, and that is, as I say, the lights for the gear selector, or show you which gear you're in. You don't need to remove it, but it's really simple. It's just a simple little lever on the side of the plug. You just need to depress that in order to just pull the connector out. So you can see, just by pulling it, it will come out. A little bit tricky with one hand. I'm trying to hold the phone at the same time here, but we're just going to wiggle that out, and it will come out from the plastic. And there we have it. And we just need to make sure that that's out of the way when we're going to be doing the rest of the fix. So we can just leave that lying down out of the way. The final thing I'll say is, once you move that out of the way, it's also helpful to just push the gear lever over into the manual position. It just gives you that little extra bit of space in order to work on the repair. So I just paused the video then just to get the light on the camera. So shining in there, you can see the connection that we're going to have to undo. That's the connection there with the little blue lever. We're going to just pop that open and withdraw it, and that's going to be our first connection in a moment. Okay, it's entirely possible, if you've got big fat hands like me, that this space here is quite small to try and work in, especially when we've got to try and get to that little switch, that little connection in there. So the next bit we're going to do is going to look a little bit dramatic, but what we're going to do is give ourselves some more space, and we're going to remove the storage box, which is directly above it, which will just give us that access. We do need to take that out of the way, really, because not only will it give us that extra space, but when we're putting in the switch, we've got that little control box, which we're going to need to put somewhere. And again, having that box out of the way gives us that ability to find somewhere to put it. So this is the box here that we're going to take out. And it is a fairly simple thing to take out. First thing we need to do is just close the box up. And by closing that, that will then mean that we can get to this panel here. This panel needs to come off, and again, very simple. It's only held in with some plastic clips. Get your thumb underneath the edge and just gently pop it off. 3 clips on the bottom, 3 clips across the top. Just pop it out, and you'll see the clips. Bit difficult with one hand. But again, once you've got the thing out, just run your fingers along the top, feel for those clips, and pop it off. And you can see there the three clips, the three metal clips along the bottom, and then the three locator pins or sets of pins across the top. So they're just what you need to pull out. So once you've got that out of the way, it's then a case of removing the box. You just give that a gentle pull, just lifts up, and it will slide out from that opening. So pull the thing out, and again, a couple of more connections. We've got the connection for the jack plug. So you can see that jack plug there. It's got a connection for that, and it's got a connection for the USB as well. Two simple connections, very similar to the previous ones. Just got little levers on them. We just need to pop those levers, and the connections will come off. Unfortunately, not a simple thing to do with just one hand, so we'll pause the video. I'll just pop those off, and then we'll show you the connections. So just need to find the little levers on them and pop them off. So there we have it. They're the two plugs, and you can quite clearly see on there the levers that the little levers that you're looking for in order to pop them off the connection or off the box. Once you've done that, you just need to move those out of the way. You're not going to be interfering with those again for the rest of the repair until you put the box back in. So the new switch is going to sit on the top of the gearbox, just roughly in that kind of location there. So what we now need to do is we need to just make the connection. So we need to disconnect the connection inside, and we need to connect it to the new switch. So you can see there where I'm pointing, you can see the switch. We've mentioned it many times before. Right down there, it's again a little bit tricky to get to it, but with that box out of the way now, we've now got 2 points of access to try and get to that switch. So we're going to disconnect that, and that's going to connect into the female connection on the switch, which is that one there, and then that's the male one, which is then going to go into the place where we're just taking that switch out. What's good to see here is you can actually see what you need to be doing in order to undo that clip. You need to pull that blue part of the clip back. It's spring loaded. It's quite strong, but it's spring loaded. You just need to ease that back in order to disengage it. So whilst you're easing that back, you do need to be pulling the plug out of the gearbox as you pull that back. So that's what we're going to do with that switch inside there. As I say, we've removed the box above so that I can now get my hand into there. As you can see, if we just move everything out of the way, I get my hand down there underneath, and you can see it comes under there, and I can get hold of the wiring loom and the switch. I'm not going to pull the wiring loom too much. I don't want to pull the wires out of it, but I'm going to pull that down there, and I'm going to just need to flip that little blue lever out of the way. Now, if you've got strong fingers, you might be able to just do it with your fingers. If not, you might want to use something to push that out of the way. We are talking electrics now, so I don't like to use anything metal, like a metal screwdriver. But what I do use quite often is something like a plastic trim removing tool like that in order to get that out of the way. So I'm going to feed that in there and just give that blue lever a push whilst using my other hand to pull the plug out of its position. Don't think it's going to be something I'm going to be able to do on camera, so we'll pause it here and I'll disconnect that because I think I've described it well enough. So there we have it, the plug's out and free. So happy days. We're now going to put the switch in place because we need to put the male connector of the switch in there, and we need to run the female underneath where my hand was before, underneath that area, bring it through and connect it to the male plug in order to put it in place. So we're going to get the switch and we're going to put that in place. When it goes in, be aware that we do need to secure it. It needs to be secured on the top there where you can see where I'm pointing. And it needs to be secured quite well, because when that lever moves forwards, it will press against the micro switch, and it can't move, because if it moves out the way, then it's not going to recognize it. It will be held with a couple of clips and the screw that you can hopefully just about make out at the top edge. You'll see that a lot more clearer when we get around to doing that bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the switch in position, and we're going to feed the connections underneath that edge strip and make that first connection, which is the male plug that we've just taken out from the gearbox, connecting into the female plug, which is on the bypass switch. So there we have it. It's located. So there's the switch. We haven't connected it to anything yet, or we haven't secured the switch. It's just lying in position, but the cable runs underneath the bit of trim, and the female plug goes under to where we got the male. So there you can see the male that we've got off the switch, but there's the female off the switch, and there's the existing male that was in the gearbox now in the female of the bypass switch. When you put that in, it only goes in one way, so you don't need to worry too much about that. It only goes in one way. When you put it in, there will be a nice resounding click when that goes home, as that spring-loaded blue plug or blue clip fires forwards and locks in. So you get a nice resounding click when that goes in place. Next thing we need to do now is do the same thing with the corresponding male. We need to make that connection as well. So you can see there's our male connection. We just need to line that up and put it into the gearbox. Not something I'm going to be able to do again whilst filming it, because we just need to fiddle with that and get that into place. But just before we do that, the final thing we're going to do with the other connection is, you'll see that piece of foam tubing, which I'm just reaching for now. What we want to do is we just want to slide that bit of foam tubing over the plug. That's not an insulation thing or anything like that. It is simply just to prevent the plug rattling against anything. So because the last thing you want is any kind of annoying rattle inside of there. So just drag that over the top of it, and that will just deaden out any chance of any kind of rattle. So once you've done that, it's then over to get the other connection out and put that into the gearbox, where you can see me pointing now. Okay, done. Now, I'd be lying if I said that was as simple as it was how I worded it. Basically, there's not a lot of space to play with inside there. You are working pretty much at fingertips in order to get that located. So getting the thing lined up with the socket is a little bit of a tricky maneuver. Once you've actually got it lined up, not a problem. Just press it home and it clicks with the same resounding click that you had previously. So that bit's quite easy. But just getting that in position can be fun. Hopefully you won't have as much problem as I did. Okay, the next thing is just that little control box. We just need to find a place for that to live. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it from that position there, because it's just resting in there at the moment. And we're going to take it through underneath the bit of trim into the space underneath that storage box, and find a nice little place for it to sit. You'll see it does have a self-adhesive pad. It's actually a little Velcro pad, so that once it's in place you can still remove it should you wish. Can't see any reason why you would want to remove it once you've got it out of place, but we're going to look for some place to put it. So as I say, I would suggest in here somewhere. Just find a nice little place. I'm going to either go on that bit there, or I'm going to put it on the back, just underneath where the box is. Now typically the video stopped for some reason when I was finishing that off. So I stuck the box on the back of that plastic trim where my hand was. it doesn't matter where you put it. Just put it somewhere where it's not going to foul the box when you put that storage box back in. The next thing to do then is we're going to then put that storage box back in. So get hold of the storage box, and you need to reconnect the two cables for the USB and for the auxiliary port. So there's the connections remade. Nice healthy click as you put them in, and then you need to rotate the box into the right orientation and just slide it back into its home location. Okay, and just ease it in. Just a little bit of advice when you are trying to put this in. There are a couple of little plastic legs which you can't see now, but they're just there where I'm pointing. One there and one the other side of it. If you try and push that down as I'm trying to do there, they're not going to go in. So the best thing you need to do is get the thing in location. Once it's in, you then open up the box, because the best thing is when you're putting it into place, you have the cover of that box down. So when you're putting it in position, you want it like that. So open that box up once you've got it in place, and then you're going to need to put your hand right inside the box like that. So you can see as I'm putting my hand right inside the box, because I'm putting my fingers right to the very back of it. And when I put that in there, my hand's going to lift up the back of that box, because the box wants to be at that kind of an angle. You see how I'm lifting? I'm going to lift the back of the box up, which will cause that front edge to go down. So you can see how it's in that kind of an angle. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tilt it up like that, in order so that those legs will just go underneath the edge of that trim. So hand in, lift up the back, and as you lift up the back, push it in a little bit further, press it down with the palm of your hands. It will locate those pins underneath, and then just because it's got that rubber pad inside, just drag your hand on it and it will just pull forwards, and those legs will locate. It sounds quite tricky. It's really not. Just be aware that you just need to get those legs underneath. Okay, now close the box up, and then the final bit is to just get that fascia trim back in. So really simple, one-handed job. We're just going to locate that. Obviously I say one-handed because I'm filming it. It's probably better to do it with two. Push those legs in at the top, just locate them initially, and then go along the bottom, just clicking that into place. Once you click that into place, just make sure that the whole top's sorted, and make sure the door opens up. And then finally we just need to locate this switch. So in order to locate the switch, the first thing we need to do is we need to remove this screw here. It's a T20 torque screw, and you need to remove that because underneath the switch there is a small leg with a hole in it, and that will locate in that position, and the screw will hold it in place. So get yourself something like this tool here. Worth its weight in gold, to be honest, something that can work in nice small spaces, and you just need to undo that screw. So okay, we've got the screw out, and if we look on the bottom of the switch, you'll see the small leg I was talking about with the hole in it. So you can just make that out there as I'm pointing at it, and that leg needs to press against the side there where the screw came out. Press against there, and then we put the screw back in, and that will just bite against that leg and hold the whole thing in place. Clearly you can tell again that that's not going to be a one-handed job in order to try and work in such a small location. So we just get the switch in the position that we're going to want it to be, which is just located there, and then we'll put the screw back in, and then we'll look at how we make the final connections. So a quick Blue Peter moment for those of you who can remember that far back. I didn't film putting the clips in. So the two clips there, which you can see me pointing to, you just press those in place. They are wide enough to fit over the leg of the switch and the bodywork of the plastic over the gearbox. Just locate them in place and then just use something like your pliers to push it in place. And that's it. It's nice and solid, ain't moving anywhere. Happy days. And then the final thing we just need to do is we need to make this connection back into the plastic trim for the lights for the selector. All right, we just need to put that back in place. Okay, there we go. So that's nicely firmly clicked in. And once we've done that, we'll just put that back in. The more eagle-eyed of you will notice I've removed that panel again from the heater controls. That's just because I'm a little bit fussy and I don't like to scratch things when I'm working, and I thought I was just going to catch that. But it's nice and simple and easy to remove, so I've moved it out of the way. Okay, so we just need to feed that down, feed the boot back down, and get that final panel in place, locate it in, and it's just got those 3 clips across the top. Simple, one hand, just press it down, but just go around the whole thing, just pressing it in nice and firmly until it's all located. And then we'll just put that panel back in again that we took off before. So as I said, remember, just go along the top, make sure the top's roughly located. Then we need to just click in the bottom part of the panel. So we just make sure they're located. Push along the bottom part of the panel, click them in as we're just working it in. And we're just making those connections and clicking everything in place. And that is it. It's quite a simple task, actually. Might take a little bit of time. Not good if you've got big fat fingers, but happy days, all done.